Too dry, too wet, farmers anxious to get out here in the fields and get some work done. Tonight here on NTV's Grow, we take a look at the outlook for planting season here ahead. Plus, we're monitoring a horse disease affecting thoroughbred racing and more tax relief for farmers. But does it go far enough? Check out our exclusive interview with Governor Ricketts. It's time to grow. The legislature yields wins for farmers, but there's still more to go. The big prize remains, as it doesn't go far enough as the governor really wanted, but lawmakers approved another $20 million in tax credits targeted to farmers and ranchers who've seen the largest property tax increase in the last decade. A related law will send more state money to local schools. Some say it isn't enough. The governor addresses that and hear what he thinks about a controversial chicken facility in northwest Nebraska here later in the show. Right now, an effort to help stop the spread of equine herpes. A local Grand Island business is stepping in to help after nearly 100 horses are quarantined at Fauner Park. The Nebraska State Racing Commission says Jerry's Sheet Metal donated cleaning supplies to help the racing industry. 3 horses tested positive for the deadly brain disease. 1 was put down, the other 2 confined. The rest remain under quarantine and could be off the track for up for a month. As a horse owner, this is what you can do. Wash your hands before and after contact with each horse. Disinfect boots and change clothes that come into contact with horses other than your own. Department of Ag Director Greg Ibaugh says biosecurity measures can be taken across the state.
If you do have horses at home, you may want to avoid coming in contact with horses just to, practice good biosecurity and protect your horses at home.
Go, go! The show goes on at Fauner Park even as a horse virus causes problems in other parts of the track.
It affected a large barn over here for us. There was, in the neighborhood 180 horses. So as you see today, our race card is shorter. We don't have as many races. Tomorrow we did field 10, and we did pretty good on Sunday. We did, I think it was 8. So obviously it's going to have an impact on you.
CEO Bruce Swihart says 3 horses came down with a form of equine herpes virus called EHM on Sunday. 1 was put down, the others isolated and doing better, he says. But it's meant the rest of the barn they were in can't race, and no horses can leave Fauner for at least 2 more weeks.
We've been working closely with the Nebraska Department of Agriculture and the state veterinarian.
Swihart says they don't know exactly how EHM got to Fauner, as all horses carry the virus, but only sometimes it mutates into a deadly disease.
Before the race meet started, we knew it was in Arizona, it was in New Mexico. Currently, Philadelphia Park and Pennsylvania are going through the same thing we are.
Donations of disinfecting supplies and ramped up biosecurity efforts are helping now, officials say.
It's easily transmitted. The good part is it's also easily contained and controlled once you got it, because you can kill it rather easily too. And as the weather gets warmer, it won't live very long. We just have to wrap our hands around it as quick as we can. That's all we can do right now.
Treating each day as an opportunity to possibly get some work done out here in the fields. And farmers have really been adjusting to whatever Mother Nature's been throwing out. Now we have sunshine. It was rain earlier. This planting season really posing some different challenges of its own. Here's NTV's Steve White with more.
That top 2-3 inches was dry.
The dust has settled, and Brandon Honeycutt looks forward to planting corn.
That newness of the hope of what's to come for the year.
That optimism is grounded with continued trouble in the grain markets.
This is going to be a challenging year. We know prices are down. Been a lot of potential corn acres out there. Even in this area, you see guys that are going corn on corn that we don't normally see.
We definitely had to sharpen the pencil,
Agronomist Calvin Roop has been working with growers, treating fertilizer to make sure it's there when the crop needs it, to make the most out of costly inputs.
Our farmers here in Nebraska are the greatest stewards of the land, so, they're not going to, trust me, they're not going to buy any more extra fertilizer than what they need.
Roop says planting is on track, and farmers know how critical this time is.
Farmers basically just have one good chance to get, a perfect emerged stand of corn.
Not all corn is the same. There are lots of different genetic traits, like Enogen, designed for ethanol plants.
One of the things we're blessed with in this area is a wide-ranging market, from the ethanol market to the Enogen market to the seed corn to even some non-GMO and popcorn.
Some options can bring a bigger check at harvest, but there's also a cost to plant. Honeycutt, a member of the Corn Board, estimates planting has an impact of nearly $3 billion in the state. The USDA expects Nebraska farmers to plant 9.7 million acres of corn to harvest this fall.
But the end goal is to raise a huge crop.
And with planting underway, be watching for slow-moving farm machinery out on those roads. It's that time of year where farmers are either in the field applying fertilizer or moving on to start planting. Farmer Brandon Hennicutt of the Nebraska Corn Board reminds everyone to play it safe on rural roads.
Farmers are putting in long hours. You know, you've got people driving around the country roads. Tractors, you know, we're only doing about 25 miles an hour going down the road. We're pulling large pieces of equipment. For both the drivers out there, just be aware that those tractors aren't going very fast. They might be making a corner. For the farmers out there, just remember to use your hazards, use your blinkers, be aware of the people around you.
There's also a push in Congress to get funding for agriculture research. This includes the Meat Animal Research Center, or MARC, in Clay Center. There was a decision to withhold 5% of total research funding pending an investigation over alleged wrongdoing to animal welfare at MARC. Nebraska Cattlemen President said since then, investigations have not found evidence of animal neglect or abuse. And the president of Farm Bureau says without this research, it can cause economic harm to farmers and ranchers trying to address critical issues in food production. A measure to defund the EPA's Waters of the U.S. rule failed. President Obama had threatened to veto it if it had passed, but it ultimately did not make it out of the Senate. The WOTUS rule itself is currently being held up by 6th Circuit Court of Appeals. Changing the regulations on a pesticide called chlorpyrifos, and now they're asking the EPA to put it on hold. In a letter, the National Association of Wheat Growers asked to postpone the scientific advisory panel that would make the changes, saying the agency is only relying on one study without underlying data, costing farmers crop production tools and impacting producers' position in the markets. The NAWG said this pesticide has been proven to be safe with crops and public health. And a shift in government leadership. There's a new assistant director for the Nebraska Department of Agriculture. Matt Haybrock is already taking over duties. He grew up on a farm near Emerson, Nebraska, and has past experience with a trade association and in the seed industry. Director Greg Ibaugh says Matt lives and understands Nebraska agriculture and will bring a great perspective to this position. And a way to help build those leaders in the ag industry is through the Nebraska LEAD program. Now is your chance to apply or nominate someone, and this is a program that really helps you find your potential within the ag industry.
Getting to, fresh new ideas from people that are in the same profession that I am.
I thought that the networking appeal was very strong, and just getting out and getting some formal training.
Came in extremely skeptical, didn't know if I wanted to do it because of the time commitment, but almost right away I was very impressed and didn't realize the scope of what I was getting into.
I've been very impressed with the level of education we receive from different leaders in the agriculture community.
I love how we're learning more about Nebraska. We study Nebraska issues, national issues, and international issues, and it's all about agriculture, which I love.
Them to become, service in government service, for those that want to get involved in the politics, for those to work behind the scenes in economic development, work with youth organizations in their community, but to make their communities and rural Nebraska a stronger place.
Applications are due June 15th. For more information, it's on your screen. You can also find links at nebraska.tv, including the full interview with the program director. A family trying to protect their land in the Sandhills. Birch Creek Ranch filed a lawsuit against Nebraska Public Power District on Tuesday in Thomas County. According to the lawsuit, surveyors damaged their lands when they went in last week to check land for an eventual transmission line. The owners, Dan and Barbara Welch, say they barred the surveyors from entering their land, but later say they found out the next day surveyors went onto the property but couldn't get out because of a locked gate. See what the chances are for the sun to go away and rain to come on into your forecast into the week, and you can plan around that. Also, we have a one-on-one with Governor Pete Ricketts after the break.